What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way day up she rises, way day up she rises, way day up she rises, early in the morning. Put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober.
Welcome back, Raider Nation, my champions, and all you landlubbers out there. It is me, it is Eric, and we are live tonight. Yes, we're doing this live Thursday night, and I want to talk about the 3 positions that I think the Raiders need to focus on in this offseason to reload and build upon our 10-7 record back in 2021. I want to say hello to all of you who are in chat right now. I see a few of you who are already here. There are some of you who are already speaking or chatting live in the live chat. If you have something to put out, put it right there. We'll get to it at the end of the rundown. I'll explain the format of this live stream if you're new here. And if you are new here and you either stumbled upon this or you're watching it on a replay, why not subscribe? Real quick, absolutely free. It helps out the channel as well. And when you do, hit the all bell notification, set it to all. That way you will be notified of our future live streams. Not only can you watch live, but also interact with everybody who's already here, including Husker Raider, Sandy B. There are a couple other ones coming in. I know we just started and we get even more people as we go along. So I do appreciate that. If you are enjoying this as you watch this, give it a thumbs up. It also helps the algorithm. So we're going to go right to this. We have a lot to cover, and that's why I kind of split this up between offense and defense. And if you are new here, this is the format that we normally use here, and it's called the rundown. Now, these are the topics that we normally go over, so you can take into account what we're going to be covering. And then at the end, we always do a question and answer segment. I want to know what you have to think and what you have to say regarding what I covered, and also general Raider news, the NFL, anything else you guys want to talk about. Obviously, we're in the off season right now. We got the Super Bowl this weekend. If you guys want to talk a little bit about that, that's fine. It's kind of an open discussion. Of course, the draft will be coming up in April. The official season starts in March, and we'll talk a little bit about that, how that regards to salary cap and free agency and all that. So let's get right to this. The first thing we want to talk about is our poll of the week. I usually do a poll, and of course, this one's going to be related to the subject matter, and that's what do we need to do on the offensive side of the ball to fill these holes? Now, a lot of you voted in here. I appreciate that. And most of you voted for either right tackle or getting a solid wide receiver 1. I can't really argue with that. We will get into both of those positions, and as well as a third position that I'll talk about here a little bit later on as we go into that. So a lot of you believe, almost half of you believe we should keep Leatherwood at guard and get a solid right tackle. I could see that. I could also see him putting it back. I talked about getting him back at right tackle and getting some guards, but I feel either way we're going to have to add more guards, and I'll show you why here in a minute. But first, I want to talk about some Raider news. Of course, we've had some more additions, more adds to our crew on our ship, and first thing I want to do is I did pull this up from Wikipedia, but the reason why I really did this is because the Raiders.com website isn't even updated. This was as of yesterday, I believe. They have Ron Miles still on the team. He's no longer with the team, obviously. So these are the guys I want to talk about specifically. I highlighted them, and we're going to, of course, lead with our new defensive coordinator, and that's Patrick Graham, formerly of the New York Giants. Here's his resume. You want to take a look at that. Who's also defensive coordinator for a year with Miami. And, of course, knows Josh McDaniels on his second stint with the Patriots. So we talked about him in the last live stream we did as far as the new regime. This was kind of breaking news that he was actually hired. I kind of thought that he was definitely one of the candidates we talked about, so I did a little bit of research, but this one I kind of went a lot more deeper, and this is what I want to talk about as far as this guy. Overall, I'm pretty excited. I was kind of on the fence with Gus Bradley, but I think this is definitely an upgrade, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I only looked at his last 2 years with the Giants. Now, they were 12th ranked defense in 2020. This is total yards. Now, they did regress in 2021. They went down to 21st, but there's a huge reason why, and that is the offensive side of the ball. When you look at the stats for the Giants last season, especially on the offensive side of the ball, it's pretty gruesome. They were at or near the bottom of just about every statistical significant category, and that includes passing yards, rushing yards, passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, number of first downs, time of possession, and oh, by the way, they were the league worst at turnovers. They gave up the ball 30 times, including 20 interceptions. Now, I know Danny Dimes didn't play a whole season. He only played part of the season, got hurt. But when he was in there, he was not effective either. His touchdown to interception ratio was just about 1. It was 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So he didn't do that well anyway. And through all this, it was no surprise that the Giants were the third worst as far as opponents starting field position. So they were one of the teams that had their opponents had the shortest field to go by, and all that's going to contribute to the defense suffering. They can't do it all on their own, obviously. And of course, you follow up. There's 3 probably main reasons why this guy got hired, other than knowing Josh McDaniels. I'm talking about merit and what he's done as far as performance-wise. Now, they were third worst as far as starting field position, and also the Giants gave up the second most attempts in the red zone. So opponents had the ball they were the second worst. They had second most times as far as red zone attempts, but get this, they were 9th best as far as red zone touchdown percentage. So they basically bent but didn't break. And that is a huge thing, since we were dead last in red zone touchdown percentage. That was a big thing with Gus Bradley. We broke but didn't bend. So that's one thing. Second thing is there's a lot more discipline here. I'm not saying they are the most disciplined team, but they were only 10th as far as penalty yards on the defensive side of the ball. 814 total for a season. It's in the top 10, a little bit above average, not great, but still better. In comparison, the Raiders had over 200 more yards and penalties on the defensive side of the ball. And then the third thing, the Giants had 15 interceptions last year on the defensive side of the ball, and we only had 6 the whole year. It's almost like a third of that. And it's just unbelievable to me, honestly, to kind of think about that. We only had 6 interceptions, not getting the ball turned over. And you have to think about this, though, because this is with their offense sucking and keeping them on the field more than our defense was on the field. They were under more stress. They were in the red zone more, and they actually produced. And this kind of leads to a lot of rumors about James Bradbury, their corner. He had 4 interceptions last year, and maybe possibly Graham kind of bringing him over. And, we'll talk about that when we go over the defense and talk about the salary cap and the money and all that. But I think that's a definite possibility. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is a definite upgrade as far as the defensive coordinator position. Now, I'm just going to go through these. Jason Simmons and Chris Ash, both secondary guys. Simmons, he played in the NFL as a strong safety. He's been a secondary coach with Carolina Panthers, and there's some good and some not so good, but we'll talk about that. So, for good thing, he was there for 2 seasons. The first seasons they were 18th in passing yards. So I just want to look at passing yards, a few stats, and then they improved to 4th in passing yards last season. And then the one stat I really enjoyed, I really like seeing here. In 2020, the Panthers were 14th as far as yards after catch allowed. Last year, they were best. They were number 1. They shaved about 260 yards off of that. So they're not getting a whole lot of yards. And when they do get the ball, they're not going that far. And that kind of serves to players like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. We're looking at players like that. We can't give them any more than they already had when they caught the ball. I enjoy that. However, his 2 seasons, 7 interceptions and 9 interceptions respectively. Not good enough. I'm hoping Graham kind of impart some of that, but also we're probably going to obviously need an upgrade at the corner position. But it's kind of similar with Chris Ash. Now, Chris Ash, he's only been in the league 1 year. He is in college at University of Texas. He was brought on as part of Urban Meyer's Jaguars squad, and you know what happened with that, with Urban Meyer. So he was gone. He comes in. Jacksonville ended up 17th in passing yards and 9th in yards after catch. So kind of similar, but they only had 6 interceptions. So again, we're going to need more turnovers. I like the yards after catch, not so much with the turnovers. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we go over the defensive side of the ball and what we need to improve our turnover ratio. Now, the next guy I want to talk about here is Tom McMahon. Now, Tom McMahon worked with Josh McDaniels before. He spent the last 4 years with the Denver Broncos as special teams coordinator. This one really it's a kind of a head scratcher, honestly. I'm looking through the stats. Now, last year, they were 19th as far as punt return average. I wanted to look at the average yards per return instead of total, especially with kickoffs. They were 19th, not so good, a little bit below average. They were 3rd in punt yards against. That's really good. But here's the kicker as far as the kickoff side. They were dead last in total average yards given up and returned. Not so good at all. I'm not really understanding why. Number one, why we hired this guy in the first place. Number two, I'm going to get back to it, like I said in the last live stream, because Rich Bisaccia went to Green Bay as the special teams coach. So that means we could have kept him on at special teams. Now, if you look at his stats, they're kind of middle of the road. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but much better than this guy's stats. And not only that, all the crap he had to go through as interim coach. You know, I have to bang the drum again. Mark Davis, shame on you. If this was Al, he would have taken care of him. He probably would have kept him in there. That probably would have been a provision with the McDaniels hire, and I'm sure that wouldn't have been a problem, and give him a little bump in pay for having to deal with all the crap in the past season, what was going on. So, and then the last guy here, Bo Hardegree. Basically, he was an offensive assistant with the Patriots under Josh McDaniels. He just brought him over as a quarterbacks coach. It is what it is. So let's get to what we have come here for, and that is to check out what we need to do to reload on offense. Now, the first thing I want to do is, if you've noticed this, if you've been with the channel previously, it's a similar type of format I use with my game reviews and game previews. Now, I want to go through this. This is just for passing stats, just to see how we did on the year. Now, as far as the format goes, now the ones highlighted in initials were generally the starters for most of, if not all, the year. The red around their box means they will be technically free agents when the league officially starts back up in March. So we would have to re-sign them. Hopefully they wouldn't sign with anybody else if you want to keep them. The ones in yellow mean they're on their last year of their contract. They're under contract for 2023, and then that's it. And then the orange, they're kind of special cases, like with Josh Jacobs. We can pick up his 5th-year option if we decide to. We can talk about that, whether or not we'll, in the Q&A session, if you guys want to agree with that. And then Nick Bowers, he's kind of they call a reserve restricted free agent because he's only been in the league 2 years. But he's like a 4th-string tight end. I really don't want to focus on that. I really want to focus on where we stand here. Number one, no right tackle. Brandon Parker's a free agent. Thank goodness. And hopefully we don't re-sign him. And then these two positions right here, you can see we have 1 year left. So we're going to have to extend Hunter Renfrow and Derek Carr if we want to keep him. Now we'll get to that in a second. But the first position I really want to talk about here is the right tackle position. I think this is obviously the most important out of all of them because we technically only have one tackle on the active roster. I'm not going to count reserve and future contracts. Those are mainly practice squad guys. We shouldn't be relying on those guys anyway. So the only guy we really technically have, if you count Leatherwood as a guard, is Colt Miller. So obviously we need a right tackle. And this is the format we're going to go through. If you've watched my salary cap videos, it's very similar to that. So I'm going to show some options. One in the free agent market, and that's in blue. And then possible draft picks in green. And this is the estimated value. Now, most of this is through spottrack.com. So it could fluctuate. And then this is the probable draft pick we'd have to use to get these guys. Now, of course, we're only in February here. Draft positioning is very volatile up into and including the draft itself. We won't have a really better frame of mind of that until we get probably into a better part of April. So keep that in mind. You say, oh, no, he's not a first rounder. Blah. I'm not going to really argue with that because these could all bounce around. So let's get right into these right tackles. These are guys I think that could be possibly useful to us to improve here at the position. Now, the first one's Morgan Moses from the Jets, free agent. He had a pretty decent year, not a great tackle, but the price tag reflects that. $8 million, they're saying, might be a little bit high for him. But that's definitely an option. The other one I talked about in my salary cap video, and that was Bobby Massey, right tackle. He formerly last played with the Denver Broncos. They're estimating about $3.5 million to secure him. I think that's a good start, to be honest with you. Even if we do move Leatherwood over to right tackle and have to get some guards, we're going to have it. I'm going to say we should have at least 4 guards on the table when we start the season, just for backups and injuries and all this other stuff. We can't be thin at tackle. If we're thin at tackle, we can't protect Carr, and the offense is going to fold up. So then I had these 2 guys. I was kind of looking through preliminary drafts and reviews, and these 2 guys caught my eye. Number one, Bernhard Rainman from Central Michigan. Now, he's really kind of going anywhere from mid to late first. Right now, of course, that can change. This guy is a big man, 6'7", 329. No, he played left tackle in college. I think we could move him over to right tackle. He could also back up as left tackle if something, heaven forbid, happens to Colton Miller. I think that's a definite option for us. And getting somebody like a Bobby Massey for cheap, I think doing that combo could make sense if we want to use our 22nd overall pick on that. And then this other guy here, Darian Kennard, played right tackle in school, University of Kentucky. He's early projections somewhere in the 2nd round. I would say if this is probably better suited if we're going to move Leatherwood back to right tackle and put this guy in at guard. Now, he's 6'5", 345, got a mean streak, loves to block, and I think would really fit Josh McDaniels' gap blocking scheme for the run game versus the zone blocking we were doing before. This is the guy to go get and run people over. So I think those are kind of our options. Now, I could probably list a whole laundry list of people, but I think that's a good start. I think once we get to near the draft, we'll get a little bit more deeper into this. Now, the second position I want to talk about, and it's obvious, and it's the one you guys talked about, and that's wide receiver. Brian Edwards really not getting the job done. I really thought he would take the step up this year. Didn't happen. We're going to have to find that outside threat. And I put over here Zay and Deshaun are free agents. We might bring them back. We might not. But still, they're not a wide receiver one. We need that outside threat to balance out Hunter Renfrow and Waller here. And here are some guys. Now, if you watch my salary cap video, these are the same guys I talked about previously. And these are the estimated values of getting these guys, not to be included of draft picks, because these guys are technically going to be free agents, but they could be franchised, so we'd have to work out some kind of deal. Brandon Cooks is under contract, so we would have to trade for him, and I talked about that in the previous video. The GM over there is a former Patriot, so that could happen. Of course, Cooks was a former Patriot as well. I still think we should probably go after Brandon Cooks. Of the 3, probably costs us about 18 to 20 million plus draft picks or players or what have you. And then as far as the draft goes, these are a couple of names that kind of caught my eye. I looked at the film. Chris Olave, Ohio State. He kind of looks like I'm not going to say he's as good as Calvin Ridley. He kind of looks similar to that kind of a player. he might very well be gone by the time we pick at 22nd. Who knows? But obviously a playmaker, an outside guy. He probably needs to bulk up a little bit. He probably will in the NFL. They all do a little bit. And then this guy right here kind of caught my eye. Dominic Blaylock from Georgia. Kind of an untraditional wide receiver. He did have an ACL injury. But he's more of kind of intriguing, almost like a Deebo Samuel type guy. And they're not really having a projection. I'm guessing somewhere in the mid rounds. You never really know until we get closer to the draft again. So, and also we can also talk about a guy like Drake London from USC, 6'5", 210, big physical type guy. Again, right now he's probably projected ahead of our pick in the first round anyway. So I didn't really add him, but you never know. He could fall down. Who knows? So. And now, as far as the third position I want to talk about here, now, a lot of people could say we need a new quarterback. Honestly, I think we're going to retain Derek Carr. There's a lot of things circling right now. There's reports that there's rumors that insiders say we're not going to do it. But I'm going to refer to an interview I saw with Dan Patrick and our new coach, Josh McDaniels. Now, he was asking him, now look at this face. Now, he was specifically asking him, did you guys go after Derek Carr in a trade last offseason? And he had this very wry grin about him. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about, McDaniels was saying. And it was like, yeah, that's the answer you're supposed to give. Good answer. So obviously, they had interest in Derek Carr last year, which tells me that's probably one of the reasons why he came to this franchise. He didn't want to go to a 3-13, well now 3-14 type team, 3 or 4 win team, a crappy team. We won 10 games last year. It shows me that they were interested in Derek Carr last offseason, and that's probably why he came here, and he could probably do a few tweaks and get us into contention. That makes total sense. So I really think we're going to be extending Derek Carr for all the haters. It's going to be unfortunate for you. I think he's probably going to get like a 3 or 4 year deal. I'm going to guess 25 to 30 million. We'll see. It depends on the salary cap has not been finalized yet by the league. So it's going to be a percentage based on that. So again, I think Derek Carr is going to be here to stay at least for the immediate future. So I would say if that's the case, I do not want to draft a rookie quarterback at this time. I think we should shoot more for the present than the future if Carr is going to be in our future. So the third position I really want to look at is running back. And here's why. Josh Jacobs, and I've said it before, he's a good running back. I think when healthy, he's the top 10, maybe even a top 5 type of guy. His ability to juke and make the moves is unbelievable when he's healthy. But he is not healthy all the time. I don't think he can make it a full 17-game season. And these guys below him, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with their inside the tackle, between the tackle running ability. They can catch the ball. They're quick. But, there's a lot of things they talk about third down running backs. I want to look for a third quarter running back. I want to look for a guy who can spell Jacobs in the third quarter and pound the hell out of the ball and take over a game, burn some clock. If we're up by a score in the middle of the fourth quarter and Josh Jacobs has a fill-in-the-blank injury, rib injury, arm injury, whatever, you can plug this guy in, get a 3rd down and 2, and keep the drive alive. That's what we need. We don't have that behind him. So here's some guys I think could fit the bill. And, of course, might be a little laughing here, but here's Melvin Gordon. I know he's getting near 30 years old. He had a pretty good season playing in committee with Javonte Williams in Denver. I like him. The price is pretty good, in my opinion. Maybe we can renegotiate Drake's contract. Right now, it's at $8 million. And even if we cut him, we'll only save $3 million. We can do something with the cap on that. And then the other guy, obviously, is Sony Michel. He's with the Rams. He's back. I think maybe this Patriot influence, former Patriot, that's an opportunity as well. There are others. Leonard Fournette could be an opportunity here as well. As we get closer, I don't know what Tampa's going to do in that situation. And then a couple guys that kind of caught my eye as far as big, more physical type backs. Brian Robinson, Alabama, and Dameon Pierce of Florida. Brian Robinson, a lot of people say he's built like granite. That's the kind of guy I want between the tackles to secure a lead. Don't give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. Don't give Justin Herbert the ball back. We're up by 3 or 4 points in the fourth quarter. You can spell Jacobs out and just beat the heck out of that defense. And then Dameon Pierce here. This guy, if you watch him on film, I don't know. He's probably got the strongest lower body, maybe of all the running backs in the draft. Guy is very hard to get down, can run between the tackles, keeps moving his legs. I like that. I'm not going to say he's a bell cow guy and all of that, and he's going to be the next Josh Jacobs. I'm not necessarily saying that. Maybe Brian Robinson could be, but this is the kind of guy, the gritty guy we need on 3rd and 2. Get those first downs, get the chains moving, and run out the clock against these high-powered offenses we're going to have to play this year. Now, if you are enjoying this, I have to urge you to give this a thumbs up. And if you're watching this on a replay, why not subscribe so you can be here live? A lot of things going on in the chat. We're going to get to. We're almost at the Q&A session. And not only subscribe, but also put your bell notification to all. Set your phone, your devices to add notifications to YouTube. I know it's a pain. That's how YouTube is. That way you will not miss out on all these live streams we do. And the next one we're actually going to do is on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to do it in 2 days on Saturday. Now, there's just too much to go through in one session. We're almost 30 minutes into the live stream right now, and we're just getting near to the Q&A session. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to go over my 3 positions we need to reload on the defensive side of the ball to be successful and take that jump in 2022. I encourage you guys all to come out here and join us. Now, this is the time where we're going to go over the Q&A session, and frankly, the time I like the most to talk to you guys and get your thoughts on what I come up with, and I'm going to go through the chat and say hello to all of you. Husker Raider, Sandy B, I see Psycho Jackal. Good job. Thanks for coming in here. I appreciate that. If you have any questions about what I just put out, put it in there right now. If you have any people that you would suggest as far as the draft, I haven't gotten that far into the draft. Just kind of a cursory thing. I get more and more into it as we go. And also, last season, if you guys weren't here, we do mock drafts here live in the live stream. Now, what that means is there are several good sites out there where we can go in and act like we're the Raiders at pick 22, and then we decide who we want to fill in holes, and then their algorithm, their computer fills in the other players. We can also do trades. We can trade up. We can trade back. They will allow trades, decline trades. They're pretty good. There's a couple really good sites that we do those on. We have a lot of fun with those. That's just basically a live stream in and of itself. And I have fun with it. I know you guys had fun with it last season, and we're going to do that again. So let's see what you guys are saying. Like your shirt. Sandy B says, like your shirt. Yeah, I got the pirate shirt on. Who knows? Maybe I'll dress up on Saturday. You never know. Don't miss out on these live streams. You never know what you're going to see. We might have another Grossi Posse panty raid. If you guys, you longtime people during the season, know what I'm talking about here. All these crazy people coming through here, like Revenge of the Nerds. Let's see. Yo, man, you have a good night. Keep the comment coming. I appreciate you coming in here, Cycle Jackal. If you come in here and rewatch the live stream, I'm not sure how far you got to it, but I do appreciate you coming in here. Let's see. Earth Daughter is in here now. I appreciate you. Hi, how you doing? Let's see. Sandy B says, I like the song at the beginning. Yeah, it's hard to find copyright-free music that's appropriate. So obviously, if you saw the thumbnail and what's going on, it's kind of more of a pirate theme. Screw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're the original pirates. They weren't even here. We were here 16 years before they even showed up on the scene. So that's why I did the pirate theme. I got the pirate ship. We got to reload the cannons for 2022. And it's going to be very interesting. Now, and like I said, with Josh McDaniels, I think he came into a very advantageous situation, especially if he likes Derek Carr, and to extend him 3 or 4 years. However, the GM side is a little bit different. We talked about in the salary cap live stream that we only have about $20 million to play with right now. We have a couple contracts that are really kind of crappy. Corey Littleton. I think Kenyon Drake's wasn't that good. Not as bad as Littleton. Carl Nassib, he played okay last year, but he's not worth what he's getting. Not only that, we're going to have to extend at least 3 players this offseason. Derek Carr, Hunter Renfroe, and Max Crosby. We don't have 5th-year options on Renfroe and Crosby because they weren't first-round picks. Now, Josh Jacobs was a first-round pick. We have that option, so we can extend him another year without extending him. Of course, Carr has already been through one contract with us past his rookie contract. So if we're going to keep him, we got to extend him now instead of letting him get into the free agent market in 2023. How do you feel about Jameson Williams out of Alabama? He's another guy. Like I said, there's a lot of good running backs, and I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do the defensive one on Saturday, right? The live stream. So it'll be the same kind of format, but on the defensive side. And then next week, I'm going to kind of preliminarily kind of put it all together and kind of give a feel of what I would do as a GM, because there's a lot of moving pieces here. It's not just the offensive side, the defensive side with the salary cap and extending people, keeping the contracts. We have, arguably, our 3 best guys need to be extended, and a lot of people aren't talking about that, but they're talking about giving Devontae Adams $30 million a year, and then I saw one video saying, well, we could front load it and give him $50 million. I'm like, how the hell can we afford $50 million this year if we have to extend all these other guys too? How are we going to build upon 10-7 record? It's not going to happen. You'd have to backload it if you're going to do that, and that's what I mean about Devontae Adams. To me, if he's not going to take some kind of discount to be with Derek Carr, plus I've already mentioned the sales tax. There's no sales tax in Nevada, so you're going to save anywhere from probably 8 to 10% off the top of whatever your contract is just by not paying state tax versus another state. For the most part, there are a few other states, but if he's not willing to take a discount on that, then we have to pass because we don't have enough money. We have one more year of Littleton. Again, there's a lot of finessing that's going to have to take place in the next 2 years to maintain what we have. It'd be a lot different if we were like a 3 or 4 win team and we're like in full rebuild mode. I think this team, tweak it a little bit here and there. A few of these spots, if we could successfully fill them, we could be a contender. And again, like I said, that's why I put running back here. Part of it is we got to get a guy, and Jameson Williams could be that guy. There's a plethora of good kind of backup running backs between the tackles guys that we could get in the later rounds, in the mid rounds. But we need somebody like that. We should have got Ramondre Stevenson last year. I wanted him last year. We didn't get him. The Patriots got him. So maybe, Josh McDaniels. Plus, by the way, the Patriots ran the hell out of the ball last year. One of the top rushing attempt teams in the league. So I'm thinking Josh McDaniels is going to run the ball more than we did last year here. So I think that's going to be a paramount reason, and then rebuilding the line. And maybe, there's a lot of people saying maybe that's the best thing for Leatherwood to keep him at guard. He might be better suited for a gap blocking type scheme. He might be. That might be the solution, and then just get a dedicated right tackle, a veteran guy, an average guy. He doesn't have to be great, but he can't be Brandon Parker or basically a turnstile letting Bosa in every play either. So let's see. Eyes on the road. yeah, Earth Daughter. Just listen. Don't comment. I appreciate you here, but yeah, drive. Don't comment. Don't look at the screens. I agree, Sandy B. Let's see. Sandy B says, what to do about Mariota? Well, he's a free agent, obviously. If you saw that. I wouldn't be above re-signing him for maybe like a $3 million ish, to be honest with you. My problem with him is he's very fragile. So we're really going to have to depend on Carr staying healthy. That's the honest truth. And that's why the number one is the line, right tackle. We got to secure this line. We can't let Carr take as many tackle or take as many sacks as he did. Now, a lot of people say, well, Joe Burrow got sacked more and he's in the Super Bowl. Well, the Raiders played Cincinnati right down to the wire. Number one, number two, Carr got more pressures than Joe Burrow, but he was sacked less, so he could evade it more than Joe Burrow. Well, you could say, yeah, I hope so. He's a veteran. Burrow's in his second season. Yeah, but this whole thing, it's like we didn't win the Super Bowl, so it's Carr's fault. It's like, honestly, it's kind of like first grade thinking. There's a lot more going on. You lose your coach. Your top wide receiver kills somebody, and they jettison him. A first-round cornerback goes nuts on social media, and they get rid of him, waving a gun around. The whole thing was insane, and it's amazing that we had that 4 games where we just kind of pulled off win after win after win, and especially in Indianapolis. I was really not too optimistic about that with the league leading rusher. He did get over 100 yards, but they didn't dominate us, and we kept us in the game. We won at the end, and that's the bottom line. And then we got the revenge on the Chargers, and we got into the playoffs. It would have been funny with Rich Pisacci. I think we would have stayed with the tie and let the clock run out if Staley didn't call that timeout. And then they both would have been and then we would have went to the Chiefs and probably lost, to be honest with you, in the first round. So let's see. I think we can get Troy Brown on the low. I was thinking he'll be the offensive coordinator. They might bring him from the New England staff. There's a couple guys over there. Who knows? Because I think Josh McDaniels is going to call the plays. I could see somebody like that getting an OC job and, getting his feet wet. Troy Brown kind of makes sense. I appreciate you coming here, Brandon. Riddle Sprigger. Okay, cool. Let's see. The Gaming Mudkip says, love him. If he bites, keep him. Lowball him. Yeah. Marcus Mariota, absolutely. Yeah, lowball him. Yeah. Well, yeah, again, he's fragile. And, Mariota's good in a pinch. The RPO, that's great. Don't trust him necessarily with, running an offense for a whole game. I really don't. Taron Armstead for right tackle. He's another left tackle guy, Husker Raider, that we could convert over to right tackle. Pretty good overall. I don't have a problem with him. Will he be there, though? Again, a lot of guys, especially these left tackle guys, they're generally scooped up pretty early. Remember, we draft 22nd, so is he going to be there? I don't know. Why didn't we try Luminor? I think he was hurt for a little bit, and then I don't know what was going on with Gaming Mudkip says that. Illuminor. We got him from the Patriots as a guard. I think they just wanted to keep him at guard. I don't know what Tom Cable was doing. What I would have done, I would have kept Leatherwood at right tackle, let him take his lumps. I would not put Brandon Parker anywhere near the starting lineup. I mean, we'd have to have like 3 guys left before he would even see the field. He wouldn't have even been on the team. And then put Illuminor at right guard. But, I was, if you watch my reviews, I kind of pounded the table like every week about that. Some of our terrible losses, part of that was, somebody in Derek Carr's face every 5 minutes because Brandon Parker sucks. And it's not just that he sucked. Week after week after week after week, you see the same thing and nothing's being fixed. I thought Tom Cable was this great offensive line guru guy. I didn't see it this year. Sorry. You couldn't see Brandon Parker getting owned each and every week and not try something else. There's no excuse for that. Earth Daughter says, is that a red light? I'm using voice to text. Okay. Just be careful. All right. Husker Raider says, we also got to remember Good is coming back from injury. I don't know if Leatherwood can beat out Good. That's another thing. Good hurt his knee opening week against the Ravens. is he going to be good? Is he going to be good to go? No pun intended. But yeah, that's an option as well. Uh, let him duke it out. I would hope uh, I would hope Leatherwood gets a starting position. Of course he's on his rookie deal. He's going to make the team. But what if Good comes back and he's ready to go? Let's say good to go. If he's ready to go, takes that job back at right guard, no problem. And then they solve the right tackle position by free agency and or the draft, and that guy gets that starting role. Is Leatherwood gonna fight with John Simpson for the left guard position? It's like it kind of reinforces that we made the right decision for getting rid of Mike Mayock, and we were very fortunate as far as John Gruden, at least on the personnel side, made a lot of bad decisions, especially on the front end of these drafts. So Odell Beckham, Alvaro Delgado says Odell ODB. A weapon is necessary for Carr, and a rookie might not survive his first year in this offense. Plus, he might be under 20 million. Maybe. I'm a little concerned with Odell, just the diva factor. I know the Patriots way. They brought in Randy Moss, so obviously they don't care about that. I do. The team's been under enough turmoil and crap going on. Plus, Odell, let's face it. I mean, he doesn't suck, but he's past his prime. I don't want to pay him $20 million. I'd rather give that to Brandon Cooks, to be honest with you. A guy who puts in and week out, plays with subpar talent around him and still performs. Plus, he was a former Patriot. If we're going to do that, go all out and get Devontae Adams then. Let's see. Sandy B says, reminder, hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, make sure the bell is on when you click all so you don't miss any notifications. Absolutely. So especially if you're new here and you're not subscribed and you're just either caught this in your stream by happen chance or you're watching this on a replay, be sure to subscribe. We got a lot of people in chat right now. We got a lot of good questions, a lot of good inputs here, and plus a lot of things happen in the rundown, you're missing out on, and a lot of work goes into this channel, and I do appreciate this. I enjoy it, and I appreciate you interacting with you, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. And like I said, your opinions matter, especially on the draft side of the ball. I like to hear if you have any sleeper picks late in the draft, I should look into. That would be great as well. Claudio Tenicio Jimenez, thank you for coming out, Claudio. Shout out from Costa Rica, Raider Nation for life. They say Raider Nation, but we are around the world. You see those pictures, and I love those where people put the Raider flags up at the pyramids, the Great Wall of China. This is the team. It's not the Cowboys. It's not the Patriots, the bandwagon fans. Raider Nation has been doing this for decades. Even when we were mediocre, even when the Jamarcus Russell days, people still wore their silver and black, and proudly. Husker Raider says, I don't know how much draft research you've done yet, but this Treylon Burks out of Arkansas looks like a fantastic wide receiver too. You know what? I'm gonna look him up. I haven't looked him up. I'm gonna look him up, and let's see, Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm gonna check him out after this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Again, like I said, I don't know every player in the draft, and I don't pretend to be. I look through and I see some people, and I see how they are, what kind of games they played, the scheme fit, their size, and then I take a look at their tapes, I look at their films and see what they can do and say, well, would this make sense? Do we need what kind of skills that they have that would match our team and what we need right now? So yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. Treylon Burks, 13 plus in chat. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, 13 plus in chat. I appreciate you coming out. Yeah, international. We are worldwide, and if they're aliens, they probably wear silver and black too. So pair them up with Cooks or even Adams would be a dream. Yeah, I have to take a look at that. I mean, the more the merrier. Here's my thing. I mean, I like Zay Jones Zay Jones, and you know, God help him. He works hard. According to Derek Carr, he loves him and all this. But there was that one play where Carr heaved it down the bomb, and it just he overthrew him because Zay Jones wasn't fast enough. Now, if Henry Ruggs was there, I think there was the Charger game, the last game of the season. If Henry Ruggs was there, that would have been a touchdown. So if he wants to come back, if Zay's a free agent, if he wants to come back for cheap, that's fine. I don't know if Deshaun Jackson's going to come back. Frankly, I don't know if I want him back. I think I'd rather go a younger, quicker option. He's still got the speed, but he's like, 35, 36 years old right now. Plus, at times it looked like he wasn't really into the game. I got to be honest, running backwards and fumbling the ball with the Chiefs, that really just kind of was like the stamp on that game. It was like, ugh. So, Husker, let's see. Alvaro Delgado says, Wilson is my favorite wide receiver in the draft. Routes are better in every other skill set and position. It all depends, and that's where I'm going to get a little bit deeper dive in the draft prospects, because it's not only that, it's where their average draft position is going to be. What kind of draft capital can we legitimately afford to spend versus getting a free agent in that position? That's the balance here. I would like to, like I said, Drake London from USC. That would be a great pickup. It's like a Chase Claypool kind of guy. But I don't know if we should spend a first-round pick on him. And frankly, I don't even know if he's going to be there at 22 anyway. And I definitely don't want to move up. Like I said, I talked about 3 spots we need to fill on offense. Those are the 3 biggest spots. That's not the only spots. So I'm still a little concerned about the center position with Andre James. Looked like crap in the beginning. Was okay, so kind of got into it. Is he really the solution? Nick Martin's a free agent, so we might not keep him. Is Denzel Good, like Husker said, is Denzel Good going to be back and ready to go? We don't know. He should. I mean, he got hurt the first game of the year, but we don't know. And then we talk about the defensive side of the ball. We got a lot to talk about on there. A lot to talk about. We'll talk about that on Saturday, but obviously defensive tackle is a huge issue, and we'll talk about the poll as well. If you look, I put out a poll on the offense and the defense. If you guys look at my poll, you can check those out in the community tab on my channel page. If you did not get if it did not come up in your feed, you can check it there and vote. And I did the same thing. What do you feel is our biggest positional need on defense? And obviously I got to agree with you what you guys are voting for, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Let's see. Husker Raider says, I'm 99% sure you'd fall in love with Burks. To me, he's the best wide receiver in this draft. I don't see him as a true wide receiver 1, but he can come in and start over Edwards and Zay. So, okay, where can we get him? Where's he going to fall in the draft? Is that a 2nd-round pick? Is it a 3rd-round pick? Is it a 4th-round pick? Again, that's where you kind of need to tie all this in. It's very difficult. That's why I kind of split this up. Last year, I talked about 3 areas of need for Gus Bradley's defense. If you watched last year, defensive tackle, the Leo outside linebacker, and free safety. And I did 3 separate videos on those. Those were each a different video. I kind of combined this just on the offensive side and combined on the defensive side. So I'd like to see where his average draft value is, where he's expected to fall. And then that would probably be my best indicator on whether or not we should go after a guy like that. So again, I need to look at him. I want to take a look at film on him. I appreciate you bringing him. If you guys have any other sleeper draft picks you want me to check out, I'll do that too. And then we can talk about it on Saturday and say, hey, did you check this guy out? Yes or no? What's going on? Appreciate that as well. Consensus is that he might not make it past the top 15. Wilson? Okay. Again, honestly, I would say wide receiver wise, right now, I still want to do the defensive side and kind of put it all together. But right now, my thought is go get one of these free agent wide receivers, secure it, And then you can roll with Edwards one more year. He's got one more year left in the contract. You got to extend Hunter Renfroe. Absolutely got to extend him. You can't let him be a free agent. And then go to the draft and then fill in the rest of the needs. And there's going to be a lot of wide receivers out in free agency anyway, like they were before, you know. I mean, we picked up Willie Snead, Deshaun Jackson. I mean, there's a lot of people we can supplement around. So, again, but if it's a mid to late round pick, why not go for it at that point? No, Burks. Okay. He's going to be a top 15? Okay. If he's if people don't think if he's a wide receiver one, Burks, if people don't think that, there's no way he's going to be in the first round then. I mean, if you look at drafts, you know, they're going to swing for the fences. They're going to think for a guy, unless maybe late first. You can see that like a Brandon Ayuk got picked late in the first round, players like that. If he's not a big name, I mean, why bother? Honestly, if I'm an NFL GM, is my offensive line secured? Is my defensive line secured? Where am I at with my quarterback right now? Do I have to rebuild and get a rookie quarterback? Is there a Kyler Murray, a Lamar Jackson, you know, somebody I can roll with from the get-go and ride that rookie contract for cheap and then spend my money elsewhere? You know, that's kind of what Kansas City did with Mahomes, and they gave him all this money. And you can kind of see they did draft well. They got Nick Bolton, middle linebacker. I thought that was a great pickup by the Chiefs. But they still have issues with the running game. And that's another reason why I push for another between the tackles running back to control the game against these guys. And the Chargers, their run game, their run defense is terrible. I love Eckler, but I wouldn't want to run him between the tackles too much. I don't think he can take the wear and tear for a whole season. That's not really his game anyway. And yeah, like I said, their run defense is terrible. Go after their weaknesses. Hit these guys. And if we go to these gap scheme, just block straight away and just roll over people. I wish Richie Incognito, I wish he could still play. Obviously, he's been hurt. He's old. But he would be the perfect guy to be bulldozing people at that left guard position. I love that. But it is what it is. So, again, where are we at? Where are we at with the guard position? Is John Simpson is he the guy at left guard? I mean, he kind of had his ups and downs this year, to be honest. There's times where he looked pretty good, and other times like, ooh, what happened? So, there's a lot to go on with kind of evaluating talent, and the biggest thing we need to do is not overreach like we have with the previous regime. That really hurts you. Think about it. We could have gotten guys like Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr. Well, these are Pro Bowl guys now, instead of some of the guys we got, because we were reaching. We thought we were the smartest group in the room. This is Gruden and Mayock. They thought they were the smartest people. Nobody, Damon Arnett, maybe a second round for him. I don't know. But first round, what? Cleve Farrell, 4th overall, what? And people are like, you saw that the guy, the Raider guy in Nashville, he's like a meme now. It's like, and we were all like that. It's like, what? When that 4th pick came up, I'm like, okay, we're getting Devin White then. Nick Bosa didn't fall to us, so we're gonna get Devin White. Like, Cleve Farrell, what? He was like 22nd, I think, rated or something. And you know what? If you're the smartest guy in the room, if Cleve Farrell would have been a Max Crosby, then you can tout. But he isn't. He's not that good. He was not worth the 4th overall pick. So it is what it is. Yeah, we played ourselves, Husker Raider. I agree with you on that. So, and that's what I kind of like about this hire. And I kind of talked about in the previous one, the regime live stream, is that we didn't go out and get a John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, not John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, where he's going to run the whole show like Gruden did. We got two guys like a battery, Ziegler and McDaniels from a winning organization. I think that's the best we could do, honestly. I think it makes sense. Now, does that mean we're going to win Super Bowls? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but it makes a lot more sense than getting another guy come in here with a big name. And you could argue the Gruden hire, a lot of it. Honestly, I think a lot of it was, he screwed up with Dennis Allen. Jack Del Rio honestly had one good year. Everything kind of bounced his way in 2016 until Carr got hurt. And then 2017, you didn't get those bounces our way. We didn't win those games. We ended up going 6-10, and then he was out of there. And then it was almost like a Hail Mary. We got to do something. Not only that, but remember, we as a Raider organization were dealing with the whole thing about escaping Oakland, getting out of there, not getting a stadium, all that nonsense. And there was rumors, there was initial talk, we were going to go to Los Angeles and then be in the NFC West, if you can believe that. That was talk on the table, and Jerry Jones put the kibosh on it. We were going to share the Rams Stadium in LA. That didn't happen. And then Vegas came, said, we'll give you a stadium. We'll hook you up. So I think a lot of that was to try to generate interest with the team, with Gruden bringing him back. And this, we're going to get back to the early 2000 days and all this, and Chucky, and he's well loved by Raider Nation. I understand that. I love his nature, his hard ass nature and all that, but it just seemed like the game kind of passed him by. And and like I said, I've talked about that in previous videos. If you want to take a look at that, it's called Grading Gruden. I have a playlist on that. You want to take a look at that. Went through it in detail, so I'm not going to just rehash that, but I think getting back to our new regime, I think this is good for us. And I'm very interested to see how we draft and what we do in the draft. Mr. SHS43 says no super chats. Unfortunately, no. Because to have super chats, you have to have a certain threshold, and I'm not currently at that threshold yet. So keep that in mind. I appreciate that. If you do want to contribute to the channel, we will be doing that as we grow and move on. But I enjoy doing this. If this channel grows and becomes and turns into that, that's great. But I do enjoy going through this. I'm a Raider fan. I like going through stats. I've been doing kind of in my background and my history doing stats all my life. And I like kind of dissecting things and then kind of sharing it with you and then kind of getting your opinion and bouncing it off. So I do appreciate that. Just keep that open. Mr. SHS43 says, as soon as you are, I'll be dropping some. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me in mind in that as well. So yeah, as far as that goes, hit the like bell or hit the like button, the thumbs up button, and sub to the channel. That's how this channel is going to grow. If you hit the like, that means YouTube's saying, oh, people like this. They're going to show it to more Raider fans, and then they're going to watch it. And then and so on, like that old like shampoo commercial. I'm showing my age, but anyway, Husker Raider says, I do want to ask, I know McDaniels loves his two tight end sets. What's your opinion on Foster Moreau? I thought he very lackluster this year. I do have an opinion on Foster Moreau. He is in his last year of his contract, and I was very disappointed in Foster Moreau this year. I was very pissed off at Foster Moreau at times. I actually said in one of my game reviews that he was almost like a reverse rabbit's foot. It almost seemed like whenever we had bad luck, he was involved in it. I don't necessarily hit him the Cincinnati game where he had to try to block Hendrickson. that's more on Olsen and the scheme. That was their best pass rusher, and then ended up in a strip sack. But then, like, stopping on his route, that really pissed me off. In the Miami game, gave them a gift pick six the other way, and then all the Carr haters like, oh, Carr sucks. I mean, you know, and especially in the NFL, quarterbacks are throwing to a spot. If the guy stops, you're screwed, and that's what Moreau did in that play. If you look back in that Miami, as week 3, just like little things. And then when Waller got hurt, you know, the IT whatever that is, you know, I'm not a doctor, but he had like a space of 4 or 5 games where he could have kind of stepped in. I'm not saying he's going to be Darren Waller, but it's like we could have had a nobody in there who would have had the same production. So I was not impressed with him. They're probably going to keep him around. Are they going to do the 2 tight ends set? A lot of people are saying, well, this is going to be like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, you know, without the homicides, I hope. But, you know, with Waller and Foster Moreau. But it's just like, maybe. What has Foster Moreau really shown us where he's actually stepped up? There's been little flashes, and then he does something stupid, you know. So that's my rant on Foster Moreau. Again, hit the like button. Sam, this channel deserves so much love. I do appreciate that, Husker Raider. Thank you. Again, we put a lot of information out there. Again, there's so much. I had to break this up into 2 segments. I'm sorry. Like I said, I was already a half hour into this over a half hour before we even got to the Q&A. There was so much to talk about between the new hires. I wanted to take a look at Patrick Graham because last week when we were on, he was just hired, and I took a little bit of look at him because he was like a leading candidate, and I just looked a little bit. I wanted to dig a little deeper. I do like what I see. I was kind of, at one point I was kind of hoping that Gus Bradley would be back. I do think that Graham is an upgrade, obviously, to Gus Bradley. I'm kind of interested in how Gus Bradley's going to do in Indianapolis. Not a lot of pass rush. They're very opportunistic defense. Maybe if they got a pass rusher, they could be dangerous just by the talent he has. Gus didn't have much talent here. I already talked about that. I want to go through that again. But there's a lot more talent with Indy. And again, Saturday night, we'll talk about the defensive side of the ball for us. Let's see. There's factual, no BS. Well, I try to be as factual as I can. I try not to be biased. There's times when I like the whole Derek Carr debate. It's like it's almost political at this point with Raider Nation. You got a segment that absolutely loves him. It's almost like he can do no wrong, and then a segment that absolutely hates him, and then goes through stats to support their argument. Their big one was, well, he never got to the playoffs. He doesn't win. Well, he went 10-7 this year, but that wasn't good enough because we didn't win the playoff game. We didn't win the Super Bowl, and it's like, there's good things about Derek Carr. There's not so good things. There's times when he plays like an MVP level, and then there's times where it looks like he's kind of, like Joey Bosa said, like kind of cowering down, you know. And then there's other times where he's running and literally jumping, doing flips over players to get a first down. So it's very difficult. You know, it's kind of frustrating at times. I wish he'd be a little bit more consistent, of course, but it is what it is. Let's see. Raider has good people in here too, and he knows he appreciates everyone coming out and participating. I do appreciate you all coming out and participating. And you know what? I usually go about an hour here. I don't want to waste your time. Your time's valuable. I put out what I put out. I usually do it about 20 minutes or so of what I put out, and then get to the Q&A, see what you have to say, bounce things off of you, and then, you know, like this, Treylon Burks. I'm going to check this guy out. I want to see how he is. And then I'll get back to you and say, yes, I think he would be a good fit, or maybe not for these reasons. So I do appreciate that. I love the interaction. I love this channel. I love being a Raider fan. And, you know, it's been very frustrating. You know, I'm one of the few, I'm older. There's a lot of content creators, a lot of fans out there who've never seen the Raiders win the Super Bowl. And that's sad. I mean, this is a historic franchise. And, you know, Al's gone. We have to recognize that. I will say this before I go, though. I got to say this. It's kind of on my mind. It's been on my mind. As far as the press conferences and, with Ziegler and McDaniel, they had it, and that's all great. I would hope that they put those Super Bowl trophies kind of behind them. It would have been better if they were behind them than in front of them, because it kind of we're not that team anymore. Those guys aren't coming through the door. I would love to get back to that. Al's not coming back. John Madden's not coming back. We have a great history, but let it be the history. Let these guys take us to another chapter in history and win more for us. Let's not keep focusing on the past. Let's revere the past, but let's focus on the future. All right. So anyway, with that, I do appreciate you guys coming out here. Yes, Cliff Branch should have been in Canton a long time ago. It sucks that he's dead now, and he's going in just like Stabler is a bunch of garbage. And they had guys like Drew Pearson in there, and Branch was a hell of a lot better than Drew Pearson. And I'm not just saying that as a Raider fan, but yeah, Husker Raider, I absolutely agree. So I do appreciate you guys coming out. Again, I only like to go about an hour, and once again, thanks for coming out, and be sure to come out this Saturday. Hit the subscribe button, get that notification so you don't miss it on Saturday night. And we're going to talk about the defensive side of the ball. So thanks again for coming out. And as always, go Raiders.
Something with all the distractions that you have off the field, how are you able to keep focused on winning football games as you do and do throughout the years?
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization. And you tell them one thing, just win, baby.